Ba-ba-bum-bum. Hey, that's a soft one, isn't it? Hello, everyone. Let's see. There we go. Now I can hear it. Get it behind the microphone, Steiger. Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Wherever, whatever part of the world you are in, I trust that you're doing well and you're in a state of consciousness in a good place. Welcome. I invoke favor upon all of us from the highest place. May there be nothing missing, nothing broken in your life. So how are you? It's cold here. I can tell you that's a fact, Jack. Yeah, like yesterday, 83 degrees, and right before I came on, 19 degrees out there. So cold. So how is everybody? Oh, thank you, Big Al. How is Brandy? Hello. Emperor Rick. Kaz, how are you, my love? Much love to you, my dear. As to you as well, Lois. Subi, good to see you. David, how are you, my friend? Hey, Brian, Milky Way Messenger. Wow, think agape love, everyone, always, forever. Jamie, how are you, my dear? So good to see you. Chris, the Master Troy, hello. So many people. Could do that, but there's a lot of people in there. So, by the way, allow me, as they hand out beverages to everyone, and if you don't get your order in, well, complain to management. All right. So yesterday we experienced something here that, well, is not normally seen. And that is a dust storm. A haboo is what they call it. And this was right as it was coming in where I live at. And you can begin to see the sun was just, well, with all the dust in the air, it grows very large. And so these are the actual sun, and this is what most people were seeing. And yeah, you couldn't see much more than, oh, I don't know. When it hit into the full point, it did drop visibility. And of course, the sun, as you can see, is just magnificent. And then we had this. This was, I think, yeah, I know exactly what it was. It was about 8:30 my time. It started snowing very hard, very heavy. And right before we went on, this is what we got now. Snow everywhere, and still snowing. Those of you who I know are in the Denver area, you know, as well. Up in Boulder and Longmont, Fort Collins, there's just so many of you that listen, and welcome. Thank you, fellow Coloradans. But anyway, there you go. So October 10th, yeah, went from the hottest September ever to where we're going to break, apparently, record cold tonight. So gotta love it. Hope everyone is doing good. And let me see. Karen is going to be on tomorrow. Queen of Courts going to be talking about the Crystal Network, I believe. And David, I think I did not know this. Hi, Julianne. So good to see you, my dear. You had a hailstorm. Julianne, as everyone knows, is down in Australia, Queensland, I believe. So many of you are all over the world. So I'm looking forward to having Karen talk about this unique, I don't know if an experiment would be a right word. Maybe. I mean, I haven't heard of it before. Hey, Darth, how are you? We can keep the snow here. Yeah, I guess this depends on your point of view. I love the snow. Robin, so good to see you. Hello. Sherry as well. I can see all of you in here. So tonight on the Steiger Perspective, I think we'll actually get through it. Going to basically do the redo of last week's show. And it's odd. I made that scenario up. Yet this week, there are 5 stories that actually support the whole premise. So tune in tonight on artistfirst.com, 10 p.m. Eastern, 8 Mountain, and wherever you are, it's a lovely time, no doubt. So hope to hear from you. Because here's the point. I don't know if y'all realize this, but the United States is in a constitutional crisis. It's never happened before, even during the Civil War, when there was a division. What we're facing today is a little different. So enough said on that. There's plenty of other places you can go to check that out. Happy birthday to those who are having one. Anniversary. Congratulations. Truth in Me. Good. I'm glad to hear that, Truth in Me. Very interesting, the synchronicity in this group. I am getting a lot of emails from people that are really benefiting from this current reading that we're doing in psychic protection. Amazing. I mean, there are so many that are under attack, and just circumstances. And as empaths, we can feel people's energy of the words that they write. Words carry energy, they carry frequency, they carry emotion. It's true, and we all know that. But wow. It just bums me out to see this. So the only way I know how we can counter that is by knowledge. Knowledge begins to allow us to defend ourselves. There is, hello, Twisted Isby. How are you, my dear? That otherwise you would be vulnerable. The old expression, as I recall, my people perish because of a lack of knowledge. Ain't it so? And it's true. What is it? This shirt says. The shirt says today, the universe is made up of protons, neutrons, electrons, and morons. So there you go. That's the science lesson for the day. But the fact is, when you study history, and I present many of you, I've given you academic.edu is a great website to go to do research on. You can find, I think, probably millions of academic papers, books on virtually any subject that you could imagine. So, if you have access to the internet, and if you're plugged in, baby, then you can expand your horizons. And what we find out is that when you look at particularly, and I'll bring this into reference, starting in the 2nd century, right about mid-2nd century, which would have been about 150, 170 CE, that you begin to find out that something was going on. There was a concerted, concentrated effort to remove knowledge. The banishments, the library in Alexandria, when it burned, and it was set on fire purposely. It is said that the Alexandrian library contained all of the ancient knowledge of the antediluvian time. They purposely eradicated it. Then the same thing that happened in Constantinople, that the river that runs through was black, blue, because of all the ink from the parchments and etc. Again, very little information outside of what has been accepted norms that people have been fed exist. They made an effort. Listen, when the Spanish invaded South and Central America, that was the first thing they did. Burn all the sacred documents, burn the knowledge that the people, the culture, the society had. And you replace it with your own doctrine. That's why I don't trust the doctrines today. I've studied enough, I've read enough that no, we are the antivirus. And so where does that lead us? Well, it leads us into knowledge that we're discovering today. I think knowledge is ever present. Lisa Barnett is going to be on, and on the 25th of October. I believe that knowledge never dissipates. That, call it a frequency, call it a wave, whatever, that what was lost will eventually come back, despite the efforts of man. Look what we've seen this with the Taliban. They have, over the last 2 decades, have destroyed priceless architecture, buildings, taken from mankind the history that in a couple of 100 years will be forgotten. So when we find something that's interesting, we were talking yesterday about auras. What kind of aura do you have? And I want to thank the person who sent me the one email, because I started, let me go over here, to investigate something, and I found it so very odd indeed. We have discussed what is blue light. We've talked about black mirror devices. We have discussed in depth that, these devices that we all have, I got mine right here. When you really look at it from a certain perspective, you would say to the species that's infected with these things, don't go near there. You don't need that. But that ain't going to happen, baby, because we're in it. It's that blue light we talk about. And pay attention to this. So notice the individual in the picture bathed in this. Really, it's an artificial blue light. It's a different white light. It's a different frequency. It carries frequency, as all light does. So the aura, that energy, it's the one thing that science has in fact shown to exist. So we know scientifically it exists. It's an amazing affirmation that we are electrical. I still think that most of us go to our graves never fully grasping this wonderment that we are immersed into. As much as planet Earth is a hell planet in existence for creatures like us, there go the snow plows. When I get finished here, I got to go shovel snow. Anyway, I digress. It's quite amazing that this electrical energy that we produce, our brains, our organs, that we can actually photograph it. Here is probably, as you can see, exactly what Kilner had said, what it is. And imagine if we could but see this. There's empaths that can. I can see them. Many of you can. But imagine if we had the ability to see within that light band, that spectrum, that frequency, and begin to see this with everybody. So apparently the story goes that this Kilner developed a chemical application called dicyanin. And it's actually cayenne, as you know, is red, and the ink is what it is blue. And what he invented was that he actually mixed this compound together, put it between two pieces of glass, and then he could see a subject looking through the glass that actually opened up what I would call the phantom realm. You could say the spirit realm, but I think it's more the phantom realm. I think there's a lot of realms before, you can actually say you fully crossed over. Interesting research found 10 years, about 9 years ago, 10 years ago, chemist, optical chemist, one guy in particularly invented a pair of goggles using the same process into these glasses, and they're blue. It's quite amazing if you begin to look into the research what blue glasses actually do, as opposed to, more of the red shift spectrum. And when you begin to look at how other people around in high places sometimes notice what they're wearing. The movie They Live was based on Kilner's work. I wasn't aware of that. Got into it and found out that the guy who wrote the screenplay happened to snap onto something. And it's a great cult movie, one that you can check. This is actually the process of how this shift begins to take place, using this process that begins to show this, what I would call the phantom realm. I mean, it begins to open up the thought that we are coexisting in multiple realms. And we just can't see it because our eyes are limited. Listen, we only see like 3% of the light spectrum. Imagine if we could see it all, we would see them all. Those that are called angels, those that are called demons, spirits, ghosts, phantoms, whatever it may be. Just by the ability of opening up the light spectrum to these energy forces. Now, this is wild when you begin to think about it. And it makes quite sense to me. I'm a big person who happens to enjoy the trilogy of The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings. And to say that at one time there was a place called Middleearth where humanids existed, multiple subspecies of bipedals, homos, man, many different spirit energies, not of the same origins or species of man, different, but yet because of the rarity of the energy of Earth, dwell here as well. Now, there are rumors, and I was looking into this. There's actually been some movies made on this, that apparently in Silicon Valley, by the way, you can't buy this stuff. You really, and it's apparently true, you have to have a very high security clearance to obtain it. Seems like the military came in and made it off limits to ordinary citizens. You can't. In fact, finding the exact recipe is, I haven't been able to find one. I found those that they know what the compounds are. So, but there is saying that you can actually add drops to your eyes, and these will enhance your vision, give you night vision, will allow you to begin to see auroras of others into the spectral realm. And listen, folks, follow me on this. If, in fact, if the spirit realm exists, and if spirits actually interact with us humans in this plane of existence, this realm, then that says right there that these realms of other dimensions are not that separated. Because if they can exist in that other realm and yet interfere in this realm, then yeah. How does that work? Don't know. But I do know this. It tells me that something is definitely afoot here. So when you think about this, that if in fact this is real, which it appears to be, imagine this. If you're being attacked psychically at night by phantoms, spirits, angels, demons, whatever you want to call them, and if they are malevolent, meaning they don't have your best interest, and if they are beginning to speak to you in such ways that tear you down, and then in some cases invade your dreams, that tells me that we haven't quite figured it out yet, and we need to. And I think the technology is here. I'm convinced of it. I'm also convinced that the elite themselves are aware of it and are very much doing their best to get the advantage. Could you imagine you could see a spirit energy? Hey, you know, command them to stop, take your authority. As I tell them, I'm going to kick your ass when I pass over. I'll hunt you down from epoch to epoch, and I will make sure I get my point across. You know, it's amazing. They just leave. They do. They say, screw you, man. I'm out of here. But yeah, so getting into this, I came across this book of, and folks, I don't have the PDF on it. I only have it on Kindle. But this is a interesting read. It's a very short book on the human aura. And what I found so interesting is that this is exactly what it is. It's a scientific study on Kilner's work. These are the actual using Kilner's formula or process, is you can begin to see, I think they've known. Imagine if we could go in to get a, like they do now, an MRI, an X-ray, go in and get an aura scan. And if medical science would just open its mind a little further, realize that it does not know everything, what we could do for this. Could you imagine the healers out there that would have the ability of having this technology? And it is technology, folks. If it's a natural occurrence occurring in nature, in us, in other living things, even in inanimate things, then this is something that I believe that the military has already, how shall we say, absconded with. He goes on and talks about this coal tar dye is what it was known as, and by Walter J. Kilner. He was a late electrician, as we've read, St. Thomas Hospital in London, England, and his explanation of the human aura says that we have to do here with the ultraviolet phenomenon. The aura is not ordinarily visible to the naked eye unless reinforced by the cyanin screen. It is a new subject of great importance, and we know our readers. This is, and maybe we'll go through it. Y'all tell me if you want to. But we will become virtually experts, probably with 99% of the population, in understanding how Kilner's work was, what its purpose was, how he was approaching it, why this coal tar dye is so important to the U.S. military. I mean, that it's just, yeah. I mean, you think about this. Of course, I immediately lend to the whole conspiracy saying, this is control. If I could see a frequency that I could amplify, amplitude through its signal, and be able to see the natural aura of an individual human, and I could see how I could begin to influence that, imagine. Gets into more, and I know I'm just doing a very quick, but again, the photographs that came from Kilner's work is fascinating. He learned a lot through how the manipulation of one's aura could become detrimental to that individual. And vice versa, it works as well. How you can reverse that process, make someone who is being psychically attacked, or even something that's an inside issue. Your aura will give advance notice before many times any symptomology comes as a result of it. Worry, negative energy. And as you can see, the book is not that big. It's quite interesting in some of the things that we can do. And there you go. It's, like I said, it is not that large. We could read it. It's certainly up to you. I found it interesting, and I'm pulling up something else as I'm getting back here. So, yeah. I was last night talking with my wife, and I could see her aura. And I told her, I said, "Hun, are you tired?" And she says, "Yeah, I am." I said, "I could see that." It tells us something about all of us. I think we may all possess this ability at one time. I mean, you could just think about 100 different ideas that would support that. Maybe that's why it's so important that they get inside our head, with these, mind viruses. Because if you've been taught, well, that's just nonsense, that's that fringe stuff, that metaphysical new age crap, don't pay any mind to it. And that's what we've been told. And so we hear it so often that we don't give any mind to it. We don't pay any attention to that crap, But in the meantime, it's probably one of the most valuable things that we could possess. Yeah, I'm going off in, like, that could be most interesting. So, hey, check this out. I found some, as we continue to move into, understanding what spells are, there are some this is a really interesting book. to start right off with it, we'll just read this a little bit. It says, create your own reality and it will be so. Give me 1 second. I want to expand that out just a tad. I am sure that you have all read a multitude of books addressing beginners in magic. This is not one of those books. If you are but an initiate, do not read this book any further until you have bought any of the other books on the market and learn from them first. I will not address beginners in this book, nor will I address dabblers. This is mostly advanced magic, not meant for the beginner. Now, when I read something, that immediately says, well, what exactly do you mean by a beginner? I mean, if I look at this in an epoch, like, eternity to eternity, I don't know, I guess we're all beginners at some point. Unless we get our full memories back, we would all be apprentices, no doubt about it. But she goes on to say, before you even begin the work with the exercises and spells in this book, you must dismiss all of your disbelief, all of your learned negativity, and your boundaries. You see, there is no reality but what we create for ourselves or others make you believe in. How many of you have been in verbal abusive relationships where by the time you got out of that, your whole inner image of yourself had been altered? This can change that. When it comes to magic, there is no limit, no impossible boundaries. You may do as you please. You are only bound by the ethics that you have set for yourself. Otherwise, do as you will. Now, I've heard that. In fact, I've heard for decades preachers preaching against that very mindset. And then when you say, what, don't I have free will? Well, yes. But I can't think beyond this boundary, right? Yes. And it's for your own good. Why? Well, because there is a knowledge that, would be very harmful to you. Why? Well, it's of the other side. What other side is that? Well, of the dark side. Oh, so if I express my free will and it violates your boundaries, then now I'm evil. So anyway, she's absolutely right. We do create our own reality. I think Brian over at Milky Way Messenger, be the frequency you want to be, create the reality you want to be. It's all true. So, and let me tell you, I'll just get into some of this is very interesting. How to create a spirit. Yeah. So the reason why this is not that unbelievable for me, think of the golem. Yeah. Here's one you may want. This is the Encyclopedia of Spells, and it's a good book, I have to say. I'm from what I've seen so far, I mean, there's a lot of, negative books that I don't even think are worth the time of day to read. But then there are others that you look at this and, I haven't found any bad ones. Lots of spells on how to attract opportunities. I happen to believe in that. I believe you actually create the opportunities or the missed opportunities in your life. This one here, spell for job seekers. miscellaneous spells of all different kinds. It's a whole plethora of them. So, yeah, I haven't gone through this one. I just got this one recommended, and I thought, well, now this is pretty cool. One last one real quick before we get too far gone. This is Faery Magick, spells, potions, and love from the earth spirits. This is, I like this one. I thought this one was pretty far out. Yeah, I haven't read the whole thing. I mean, it's, it takes a while to go through some of this, but I try to just to peruse it and see, well, what's it really about? I found this one, I think, delightful. This one talks about fairies, are all sacred spirits or presences that animate and enlivens all of nature. Their knowledge, wisdom, and supernatural powers can be called upon when doing magic. Fairies create a field of resonance or vibration just beyond the spectrum of our ordinary awareness. They are one step away from our reality, normally just out of our range of perception. The fairy realm mirrors the mortal realm. Fairyland is a home of our emotional primordial links with our origins, the home of universal wisdom and truth. To fully comprehend the concept of Fairyland, the other world of the fairy, you need to view reality as layered, realms upon realms, rather than linear. In this sense, Fairyland is everywhere within and all around you. It is ever present. Celebrated throughout history in several forms, fairies are among the most well-known magical beings of all time. With the advent of the New Age, fairies have become even more popular and noteworthy. There are scores of fairy books, movies, cartoons, television programs, fairy e-cards, fairy screensavers. Fairy artwork can be seen on posters and prints, walls, calculators, magnets, etc. So this is going to be fun. I think this one, there's certain ones that I'll put a check mark on it, and I want to get to know these mystical, how they define these. Now, I've seen fairies go outside Eureka, Calaveras County, those ancient redwood forest. The spirits are alive there. But in any case, yeah. So for those of you, by the way, if you search into YouTube, there have been a number of videos where they've actually captured these creatures. Check it out. Just thought some of you might find this to be of a particular interest. It's amazing, folks. We've only just begun on this. And the more we get into it, the more awareness one becomes of this reality that is stacked. I believe that's exactly what it is. It's not this way. It's literally this way. And who knows whether ascension or descent is the direction. It may never have any end. I don't know. I'm just looking in the chat room. Fairies and angels can fly. Wish what I'm reading Julianne's post. So I'm in Candyland. I often say this, cheesesteak, is that if it's chocolate, I'm there, baby. I mean, it's okay. I am all over that. And I like it a lot. So there you go. So we have our book that we're going to continue on. I just never realized how many of us, this book here has just helped an inordinate amount of people. So it kind of tells me we ought to kind of finish out what she was going on. So I'm just going to go here, read for a couple of minutes, and hopefully this will help. We'll pick up where we left off. It says the next level is penetration of the mental body. Remember how these energies, these psychic vampires, seek to find particular levels or areas of energy that they attach to. The victim may feel foreign or intrusive thoughts, or thoughts that are not my own. They may even be impressions of an outside voice impressing itself on one's own voice or inner thoughts. Now, I just want to take a minute here. I used to have voices that would try to come and speak negatively. I finally had to confront them verbally. Basically, I tell them to go and take a effing hike. It's not me. Why would I condemn myself? Why would I want to in any way ever speak negative of myself? I'm as unique as you are. And when I find these spirits, and I intend to hunt them down, I mean, I figured that in the other world, you got a lot of business you can take care of. I intend to find the ones that thought it best that they had such delight in tormenting me. Anyway. All right. These intrusions may reinforce the worthlessness of a victim or urge the victim to take harmful or violent actions towards self or others. When the emotional body is hit, feelings of worthlessness and hopelessness escalate. The victim may fall into deep depression. Emotional and mental influences are often called oppression, one of the stages of possession. When the etheric body is affected, the victim is in danger of full physical possession. Physical health deteriorates. The victim may be influenced to eat and do things that endanger them bodily. Depending on the circumstances, progression through the aura may occur over time or may happen all at once. If a negative impact is the result of an established or long-term relationship that has become toxic, there will be connecting energy cords that will need to be addressed. All of our relationships establish cords of energy. The more important and longer the relationship, the stronger the cord. Cords can even last from lifetime to lifetime. Some energy healers, spirit releasers, and exorcists can detect aura issues by scanning when the aura is weak and vulnerable. When intrusions have been made by psychic attack and where energy cords are too toxic to people exist. Attachments show up as holes in the aura or things sticking into the aura, such as straw-like tubes, barbs, or hooks. Attachments can be removed and repaired energetically and may need to be combined with other remedies as well. Energy cords can be severed or dissolved. Sometimes attaching entities hide, and so the aura must be scanned again. The best way to keep your aura barrier at optimum function is to stay in good health in all levels of being. It is especially important to pay attention to the spiritual body, the first line of defense. Have a spiritual foundation to your life. It may be the religion of your family, or it may be a new religious or spiritual belief you have acquired throughout life. The important thing is that you have some spiritual beliefs and principles that are guiding lights. The best way to strengthen the spiritual body and the entire aura cuts across all religious lines. It is meditation. Meditation is a different from prayer, in which a request is made or a dialogue is conducted with a higher spiritual force. Meditation is stilling of the mind, which makes a different kind of transcendent spiritual connection. Meditation practices have developed in both East and West over many centuries, both within and outside of religious practices. There are different forms of meditation and no right or wrong way. You may think that meditation requires extended periods of time. Monks, ascetics, and adepts throughout the ages have engaged in long meditations, but the average person in today's world can easily adapt techniques to suit time demands. Even the short time, 10-15 minutes, will yield great results when done daily. I'll tell you, I do believe this. You know, I'm a person who believes in um, power naps. Um, when I ran companies, I made sure that there were rooms that my employees could go, and we would get the meditative music and you know, the recliners. Anyway, we built an environment that induced sleep and deep meditation, and my productivity was off the chart. Um, I'll just get this wrapped up in here. I find that the best time to meditate is before I start my day and the brain gets too busy. I sit down, I put on some soft meditational music and still my mind and body. As thoughts arise, I release them like water flowing through a sieve. I usually hold an intention such as being completely at peace and in harmony with balance with everything that is. As my breath comes into my body, I visualize it filling me with golden white light from the Godhead or source of all beings. And all of us can do this. In fact, I hope all of you are. You know, take that time, no matter what the circumstances. You know, I tell people all the time, let's say you take 15, 20 minutes to do the inner work. I mean, if you're already in a bad situation, what is it going to matter? You know? And if things are getting into a better situation, then you know you need to do more. So there you go. He just gets into more of the meditation on this aspect. And I hope most of us realize that meditation is a strong defensive barrier. I'll kind of end it here and we'll pick up later on this. One of the techniques that I do is that I literally, when I recline, I close my eyes, and you really have to let the thoughts just run, because thoughts will. Our minds are an amazing thing. Again, where do our thoughts come from? I don't know, somewhere, I'm sure, but you just got to let them just eventually. I just kind of let it like the bathtub water. And the question I meditate on, for instance, for the longest time, I was meditating on perfection. Perfection. How does that exist? And that's all I filled my mind with. And when you start getting into those theta waves, you know, things happen, folks. Last night, I dreamt I was flying. Folks, there's been a while since I have dreamt that I was flying. And I'll share something with you. It was just very brief. But I had this image where I was looking in this black mirror, and the image I saw coming back just started me laughing. And I actually remember saying, "You look marvelous, baby. You look marvelous." All right, folks. Tune in tomorrow with Karen. This is going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to this. And I believe if we'll start using these techniques, meditation, we're going to get into next week how we can begin much more in-depth understanding of, you know, what we will be finding with black mirrors, you know, scrying, as they would say. I think I'm excited about this. And as we add more and more to this, you know, someone said that no one has ever proven that they have made communication to the other side. And I thought, well, it depends on what your definition of the other side is. I happen to think that we do. I happen to think that if, and this is the thing about it, is when people have those type of thoughts and you go, well, do you pray? Well, that's a personal thing. I go, well, do you pray? Well, yes. So you're praying to something you can't see, but you're telling me that because of something I can't see on the other side doesn't exist. Is that what you're saying? No. Wayne, where can I get a hoodie like yours? Lynn bought this for me, so Big Al, I will find out. By the way, this sucker is like soft. Oh yeah, yeah. It's like that fire that I got going in the living room. Yeah, had to actually get the fire going. Can you believe that? But anyway, it's cool. What's going on else in the chat room? Plum Moon Bliss, I like that. So love and favor to everyone. Well, I'm missing the conversation. Again, it's like walking in the middle of you. We've all done this, you know, and you get into a group that they've had this ongoing in-depth conversation, and you walk up and going, how you doing? And they all give you that look like, we were talking, you know? So then you, wanting to be proper in your manners, just merely kind of, step back and hear the conversation, and you realize you have no idea what they're talking about, because what you're hearing is not what they have. So there you go. All right, folks, far out. Now I'm going to go out and shovel some snow, and hope you do. No, don't do the same. Most you can't. Have a great day. Join me tonight if you can. Again, artistfirst.com. This is going to be the political one. I mean, yeah, this is where you can actually talk, and you don't have to be concerned about censorship. Yeah. All right, folks, much love to you. Thank you for joining the community here. You definitely make my life a joy, and I just appreciate it. We've got one of the best groups here. It's an honor to be amongst all of you, and I look forward to the day of meeting all of you, giving you a big hug, high five, and sit down and just have quiet conversation. And who knows, we may meet out in the great outdoors, and all of us will look into the Milky Way and ask, well, where do you want to go next? Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. All right, folks, I'll see you later. All right, bye-bye.